So is there anyone out there who does not know what in the world does lampshades mean? You're all in the know? Okay. You're asking? Okay. So a number of years ago, how many years ago was that?
Before COVID. Way before COVID, yeah.
Around the corner, we were in a shop that sells lampshades. And so we read there for quite a while. But then, so we got sort of kicked out. And then we were in a restaurant a couple of doors down from here. And then COVID happened, and here we are here now. But we still call ourselves the Lampshade Poets. So welcome, everyone. So the idea is that you can each have 3 poems to present to us. I think we'll have time to do all that. So let us just begin with Laura Jean. And please say your full name so we know who you are. Right. Anybody not want to be recorded?
Cool. This is really nice. You've not been here.
This is my first time here at Lampshades. My name is Laura Jean Gilloux, and I'm going to read you some poems. Here we go. This one's called Baby Teeth. Lined up in gruesome little rows like trophies a serial killer collects, tucked in a box, the teeth. Snowy mountain crags exchanged for Sacagawea dollar coins, her own sleeping babe strapped to her back. She looks well rested. I'm groggy, searching for blood-dried calderas in the dark. It's a grueling expedition, creeping in old t-shirt, sweats, mouth guard, and zit cream, bumping into lamps, terrified I'll wake them to discover the truth about the tooth fairy and impermanence. I won't loosen my grip on innocence, insisting tigers are soft, plush, guardians resting on jungle-themed bedspreads. From under their gums, new teeth will come. They will be drilled into. They will be filled in. So that was a poem about when my kids lose their teeth, of course, and I have to creep into their room in the dark and figure out how to not wake them up. I'm going to read you a brand new poem that I wrote, but it's based on when my son was 1 year old. He's now 10. And it was a time when we were going to King Arthur Flower a lot because they open really early and little kids wake up really early. So if you guys remember, they used to have like a wheat grinder there that you could kind of throw some grain in the hopper and turn the wheel. I don't think it's still there, but at the time, this was a really big deal, and we played with it a lot. So this poem's called The Wheat Grinder. At the bakery down the street, a cast iron hand-turned grain mill serves as an old world reminder and heavy hope we might survive a thermonuclear disaster. Once it starts, the flywheel practically turns itself, building momentum so the auger's teeth can split the grain, breaking it apart, grinding it into fine flour. An interactive experience. My young son grabs fistfuls of grain to toss in the hopper. He's small. His head barely reaches the wheel, so I hold his body up, me turning my son, turning the wheel until my arms ache, and I place him back on the ground, only to lift him again, his fingertips extending into the catch bowl at the end of the chute, where he finally grabs soft dust by the tiny handful. This is mindless. Nobody told me being a parent meant revisiting every small thing I'd ever learned to take for granted, that I will do this willingly, over and over again, every little wonder breaking open in my palm. Thank you. And this third one I want to read for you today is, I picked it out especially because it's written like in White River Junction on Christian Street. And I wrote it about a year ago as training for the Covered Bridges Half Marathon, which I'm not running this year. But it was kind of I wrote it in my head while I was on a training run on Christian Street. So it's called On the Shoulder of Christian Street. Blue label beer bottles and red Coca-Colas poking out among the grasses and weeds, They look like flashes of flowers on a hot Sunday morning training run. I'm out of shape and delirious, coaching my absurd self to keep going. I stride over a plastic nipple, perfectly erect, exposed on the shoulder of the road. If I bent down, I could suck up a mouthful of hot tar. I wonder, what crying baby did you belong to, and where are you now, baby? Sometimes I find myself out of context, arguing with my husband about yard work. This is not who I am, not who I thought I would become. Feeling like the wet sock with rainbow polka dots in the ditch over there. We are all connected, it seems to say, but I don't stop. I don't stop. I keep running. Thank you.
Robin? Luckily, I brought an extra. Let's see. All right. No. All right. Okay.
And your name is?
Oh, well, you said Robin, so I figured I'm Robin Dellabough. Fairly new to the Upper Valley. Do I need this? I don't know. Her 40-year-old son asks to come home. She doesn't know if she should let him. The poison ivy is finally dead, yellowed. She should pull it out. She should not let him. Hand-me-down lanternflies ravage her rosebush. Deer and groundhogs decimate the rest. She could let him. Nature is not the problem in this fractional plot. She could not let him. Push, pull is exhausting. Every day her back hurts, more than. She can't let him. He reseeded her lawn, now it's all clover. Instead of dull grass, she would like a meadow. Drought takes turns with deluge. Across the street, a willow taunts her. So does someone else's son, dead of the same disease. If she lets him, he still won't stand up straight enough for her. She thinks, what is a son? She thinks she might let him. If she wouldn't hear him in the little room he stayed in last time, she keeps the windows always open to air out the smell of his bedbug soap. She should not. She might sleep in a tent. She tries to calculate costs, words, silence, patience. She doesn't have much time. If she lets him, they'd still both be alone. This is a short one, and it's a golden shovel. I don't know if everyone's familiar with what a golden shovel is.
Talk closer to the microphone.
Oh, I'm not close enough, sorry. Is this better? Okay. Did you not hear that last poem at all? Okay. This is a golden shovel, which I took a line from a May Sarton poem, and the last word of all the lines in this poem are the words in that line from May Sarton. It's a new form that Terrence Hayes invented, someone like that. All right. It's called Reclamation. The woman thinks she's done, but if a starling murmurs to her, you need to keep going, be taught more from me, not to look for only one, but to grasp every living thing. Then, every bird, every child, all of it, she'll place tenderly into what was her despair. It's never true. She'll risk again to say, I am here. I may fail, but this and this and this is a life. And then this last one. So as I said, I'm new to the Upper Valley. So this is kind of a list poem. Oh, is that better? I am gonna. And it's called, After Moving to Vermont, I Inspect the Fridge. 3 kinds of plant-based milk. Can't decide which one I like in coffee. One of my sisters will only use half and half. Container of unidentified cheese. Months ago, I brought it from New York. Still no mold. Small saucepan with leftover oatmeal. I loved it when my mother would fry extra wheatina for breakfast. I wonder if that would work for oatmeal. Bottle of Dan & Witt's maple syrup. If we don't have it, you don't need it. Small jar of capers, 2 lemons, just in case. 3 jars of sweet pickles, even though I only put them on plant-based burgers a few times a month. Bookbinder stone ground Dijon mustard. I seem to have more condiments than anything else. Non-alcoholic beer. Stopped drinking when my brother died of cirrhosis. That wasn't my only reason, it's just easiest to explain. Jalapeno peppers. My son bought them when he lived with me before he relapsed. I cut out the hot little seeds. In the freezer, too many sticks of butter. The sister who helped me move likes to buy in bulk. Unwrapped ice cream bar in a bowl. The grandchild wanted strawberry, not this chocolate one. Frozen pizza, mango chunks, for emergency meals if grandsons drop in. 8-grain sandwich bread for grandsons. Never opened. I give them gummy worms and animal crackers. My reward.
Next, we'll have Suzanne.
How's that? Am I audible? Okay. I'm Suzanne Dudley Schoen, and my first poem is called We Shared Roots, Now We Will Share Meals. My hands whisper on the new table, coaxing the cherry planks to tell their version of the story. Did the sapling hear me weep at its base 40 years ago, begging my father not to cut it down? How did I convince him, without knowing at the time, that the tree was like a sister, even closer than the ones I had? The tree and I grew on the same Vermont slope. Sown in soil, we endured the haunting of winters, lashed and bent in storms, vessels of every kiss of sunrise and each magenta exhale of sunset. Our branches, like a toddler's arms, reached out to gather love, bent around the lives of others. The tree and I, earth and sky and gratitude and family, sculpted in our bones. I might wait till that passes. It's very dramatic. This too shall pass, right? Yes, it is a poem. Well, ironically, the next poem is called Wailing into the Abyss. So, I never gave up. I'm going to start again. Wailing into the abyss. I never gave up on the good in him. I had to give up on the idea that loving that good would save me. I had to give up believing I was the problem and remember instead that I was the solution. Pouring water into an empty terracotta pot didn't bring life any more than wailing into an abyss was music. It was sound in a container. It was grief ricocheting. The force of it shook the house where the floor had lain undisturbed, a sedimentary bedrock of family lore, rules, and tradition. I crept, hands and knees dusty, throat dry, song gagged and bound in a chair. Until one day, after making a pot of chicken soup that I didn't want, steam evaporated from my lenses. I scanned for the usual depression in the seat cushion. Nothing. Song had slipped away, out through keyholes and cracks, unfurling like the pink of dawn, slender chords in musty winter air, reaching the heartbeat of a sparrow to give it flight.
Thank you.
Next we have Casey.
Hi, I'm Casey Carney. I've been meaning to join you for a while, so thank you for being a place to join. Table for one. I can feel the anger in his stabbing fork and slicing knife, chewing sadness with his sunburnt sadness jaws, working the meat, barely tasting it. I imagine in his flannel shirt and his fishing cap and his sadness jaws, working the meat, not even tasting it, numb tongue and sullen, swollen, nicotine sticky breath. The woman across the table from him shares the fluorescent spotlight, which illuminates a vulgar distance, an ocean, yet not enough room to pretend. A coffee cup, an island, the lost potential of silverware, glinting like jewelry in this pawn shop dream. Her gray hair in a girlish ponytail hunched over her plate. I cannot see her face. I almost feel her sadness, but it is not safe to reach her hands, which are also my hands, across the table anymore. So I pretend to eat carefully at my table for one, as if I am not also an angry, sad animal. Barely tasting it, because I know that kind of hunger. Both predator and prey are the fastest flight animals. In my almost sadness, I neither reach his hand across the table because I know better. Though I hope he wins at video poker tonight to ease the grinding sleep. For her, a semi-drunk, semi-truck, Jake break, casino, hotel holiday. Lullaby. I pay my own bill. I walk away. Mr. Mouth, if you ate yourself, the only thing left would be your mouth, and you'd still be talking. On the carpet where you dropped yourself, a little salty, heart-shaped piece of writhing meat, spitting words like a mini geyser which the guests at the party stepped gingerly around and over. No one wants to touch it. No one wants to pick it up. No one wants to acknowledge it. Your mouth, your words, your story, your barter, your pander, your murder, your suicide. You surrounded your clout when you ate yourself. You surrendered it. You surrendered it. You surrounded and you surrendered it. Your clout. You ate yourself. Now no one even pretends to listen, Mr. Mouth. Mr. Mouth, Mr. Mouth, Mr. Mouth. May you run out of letters until you only emit distant, squeaky sounds like shoes on their way out, or shrivel up like a little heart-shaped piece of beef jerky bought from a 7-Eleven convenience store in the middle of the night. You were only ever hungry for your own body. That's why you bit into mine. I'll eat your silence. You've left me so hungry, Mr. Mouth. I feel like I should give you something a little more gentle. Limbs. Limbs pulled apart from the soft-boned star until the heart burst like a purse full of dust, and the coins strike the floor, 1, 2, 3. Table now empty in a now empty room. Wind is presumed. If a tree falls in the woods, yes. And if no one hears it, impossible. Thank you.
Treat it like an ice cream cone is what I was told. Out there. Hi, my name is Ina Anderson. I'm going to read you a couple of poems from my new collection and one other. I like short poems. That's what you're going to get. So I've been around a while, that's for sure. So how is it all going to wind down? And when, huh? Some of you know what I'm talking about. Looking back on life prompts poems. This one's called Born. It has an epigraph by Rumi. Being human is a guest house. What sort of thing is a life? This thing sourced at the whim or plea of two other lives soon gone, trundled along pathways undesigned, tricked into purpose. What sort of scaffold can a life climb to look back, to look forward, to change course, to defy the promise of importance? What chance is there to wink and turn about? This life will not be gift-wrapped, not leached of color, not offered finally as a cup of dust. This life will be a wild chant sung by a psalm singer in the lion house. This life will wield a pen racing to keep up with a mercurial mind. The rest may be silence. And this one is called Enough. They say that if I put these stones in my mouth and jangle them around in my sturdy old age teeth, I will be given the privilege of one extra day of life. The trick is deciding whether it's worth the bother. True, the stones are smooth, rounded at their corners by years in the sand, the tide coming and going, coming and going. Two of the stones are white and one is gray. I have them here in the palm of my hand, kidnapped from a secret place by the sea. I ponder. Just one day, perhaps one day with bleeding gums, sharp edges of chipped teeth against my still plump tongue? Nah, I say, firmly no. I'll return now to that shore and let the waves wash my feet and deliver these blameless stones back to the sand. And then just one more that's not part of this collection, but it's a new poem. Just thought, hey, here's a place to just give it work, give it voice. And the title is Poet with a question mark, like poet. Words pushed around in steel carts, wheels groaning under the weight of a century of books. Poems, poems, poems. Poems by poets known and unknown, remembered, forgotten, discovered anew. Poems by over-educated gentlemen secure in their country estates with well-stocked wine cellars. Poems by lonely women kept hidden far across the blustery moors. Poems by ragged men in gloomy cities, a joint hanging from their lips. Or slim young soldiers nodding off in their bunkers, listening for the next sniper. But what about me? This gray old lady, had it for decades, this grandmother, this cemented wife, this slow starter, unwilling to believe she's worth it, this doubter, this grumpy bitch, this one beer night to no more, this over-careful underachiever. Can I do it too? Can I really write memorable poems that will tour library aisles for years and years on a groaning steel cart pushed by a smiling, well-meaning librarian? Thank you. If anybody's interested in a book, see me afterwards. Next we have Duncan.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. This is my book that I published a few years ago, Wei Vian. But the first poem I'm going to read was a post that I posted on Substack last night where I published my writing. And the photo right there to everybody's right is the photo that went along with this poem. So it's National Poetry Month, so I'm just really glad we're all here. And this poem is called "And to Remember the Buddha." The photo over there. Ah, the face of the Buddha, serene, knowing, and wise. Beautiful he is, with eternal life. And I remember reading the Dhammapada, the Buddha's teachings. His teachings are ingrained in his stone face. So I complimented that by giving him bamboo hair and a perfect golden orb of light and a sun above his head. His teachings are sunlight, a gift from the heavens, and to remember it for an eternity. I particularly love the Dhammapada, a different form of thought than what I normally practice, that being Taoist thought. His teachings are as if drinking water from a well. Well-being. A decent philosophy always asks, who am I? To question one's reality. My true self holds dear the Buddha's teachings, as he is my inspiration for this poem, in honor of National Poetry Month. Thus his title, that being Buddha Nature, when and where I couldn't even fathom what he has accomplished. My best attempt at understanding is an attempt to transcend the ability to rise above the pain and suffering, while holding still and steadfast, maintaining composure while in crisis. There is a void in this world where and when we all can learn to transcend. With the stillness of mind, it is time for me to ask that one question. As I sit here on a patio in downtown, I ask myself, who am I? I certainly have stories to tell. I have dreams of who I want to be and memories from long, long ago. But the true self cannot be determined by the past nor future. The soul that I am in my body, reflecting upon the past, daydreaming about what's next, but the movement through time is only in the here and now. When I feel love, I sense that water is flowing through me. That is the deepest part of who I am. I agree with the Buddha's wishes, for us all to realize the truth of who we are. There are so many paths, almost a unique path for anyone who so chooses. My path of storytelling brings me joy, something that I thrive on, and I'm delighted that you have graced my path by hearing this poem. This poem could go on forever, just as I will dream that I will be a storyteller, that will age as stone and water flowing through a river. Remember what I said. about water. To me, water is love, and I love writing poetry and stories forever. So thank you for celebrating National Poetry Month with everybody. That was a poem I wrote last night in downtown Hanover. I was like, oh my God, it's National Poetry Month. I got to do something on Substack. And I was just sitting there reveling in the moment. And the photo I took the night before, the photo is a picture of the Buddha's face, and he has bamboo growing out of his hair. His head is a flower pot, and the little lamp behind is like, oh, right, the Buddha needs a sun above his head. He's enlightened. So the lamp behind the bamboo is an image of how I thought about the Buddha during National Poetry Month. These next poems are from my book, and I'm going to read not all of them, but a few of these short poems. They're very, very short, many of them. Excuse me, I have dry mouth. So, I'm watching the sunset, drips of sweat on my skin, eyes twinkling with light. Breathing smoke through my nose, praying for dragons, memories of breathing fire. The birds sing songs, lovelies in the ears and chime for the wind to hear. The sun is a perfect orb of light in the sky, our moon's opposite. The gas planets tell stories of a soul's history. The wind rustles leaves and makes a blade of grass quiver. The thunderstorm, lucky me, as the thunderstorm, lucky me as I water the garden. A couple more, 2 more pages. Water the garden, a stogie, a brewski, life is a dream. Smoke tendrils, wind wisps, breathe deep. Rain showers weep, sun rays shine, rainbows aglow. Taking care of the property, house sitting at the parents, the reward of caring for a decadent such. The bees pollinating their honey, their nectar, it is as sweet as their hum. Sweet kisses from those honeybees, I miss like a woman's touch all of the bliss. I want to see how many short poems I can write, achieving something great. Tears of happiness, what a sight for all ears to see. Awakening, not just the mind, but to the day. People watching, what's next? Who's there? Happy faces. Just a couple more. Rain falls like the tears welling from crowds and frowns. Sky blue as the light, in her eyes wondering and wandering amongst the clouds. So high on good vibes, I might be perceived as tripping, but love is the ultimate vibe. The night light sparkles, lively eyes twinkle, happy faces make me smile. Some thoughts stray amiss, frowns never worry away those states of bliss. A Tai Chi wave, hands graceful, smooth like the breath of water, dancing on stony creeks. Wearing a collared shirt, I feel more comfortable with matching colors. I could just go on and on. Okay, if anybody is interested in a copy of my book, please see me afterwards. Thank you.
My cohort, Pam.
Oh, good. It's low. It's good, that's good. I have a proclamation to read. I bet you haven't heard this before. It's about National Poetry Month. And so, in a proclamation issued on April the 1st, 1996, President Bill Clinton declared, National Poetry Month offers us a welcome opportunity to celebrate not only the unsurpassed body of literature produced by our poets in the past, but also the vitality and diversity of voices reflected in the works of today's American poetry. Their creativity and wealth of language enrich our culture and inspire a new generation of Americans to learn the power of reading and writing at its best. 1996. Yay. I have 2 spring poems and 1 I can't get away with not doing a rant. The ranter in the crowd, okay. So this first poem is about spring peepers. What? What? Oh.
Rants are good.
Rants are good, okay. I could do 2 rants, but we'll see. We'll see. How last night Pseudocris crucifer revived my senses. Polyphony of peepers, the whole night's ebb and flow of cheeps and churs, trills and tremolos, the momentary intermission, then 1 peep, 2, the pinkle tink. You know what? I'm going to start over again. I can't even remember. Okay. These are great words that I'm troubling over. Okay. So, spring peepers is what it's about. So I'm reading the Latin for you, so let's see if I can stumble over it again. How last night Pseudocris crucifer revived my senses. Polyphony of peepers, the whole night's ebb and flow of cheeps and churs, trills and tremolos, the momentary intermission, then 1 peep, 2, the pinkle pink recapulation, the 1 peep, 2, the pinkle pink recapulation, appassionato till dawn, when urgency subsides, and I stumble out of bed while considering how many more spring orgies I might be privy to. Big old fitter frogs make the Pavarotti peeps, 15 per minute, maybe 13,000 per night. How instead of regarding insomnia as a curse, I consider the privilege of eavesdropping, the orchestration of this private concert, tickets for free. How I have the ears to hear such joyous sex, and I wonder what impresario put this choir in motion. Wild oats, not the one that looks like a weed blowing seed to wind. No, the showier one, Ovalaria sessifolia, bellwort, marybells, one of the first wildflowers to pop up in spring, like a rambunctious kid sweeping through winter's debris, wherever whimsy leads it, buttering the woods unabashed, wielding frivolity into new spring green. What we're not supposed to say. I swear by the mighty woman with the torch, big trouble's brewing. When you're not supposed to say fetus, female, fluoride, or the no-no bird flu, peanut allergies, elderly, uterus. 250 words verboten, erased from the federal lexicon. I tell you, the merry-go-round's off its rocker, the music rank and royally. Reader, it crossed my mind we need some drums. Lots of drums, boudrons, oudous, tablas, come together in solidarity drums. Drums to enhance cognitive function and soothe our sorry souls. When every word and everything is again possible, and for God's sakes, when they, them, she, he, you, and I reestablish justice for all. And yes, oh, definitely, unequivocally, yes, wipe clean the fools on the hill. Thank you. I think I'm going to try to practice those words for spring peepers because it was not on the cards tonight. Bob?
Okay.
I'm Bob Powell. Nice to see all of you again. So, there we go. So this one's doesn't require an explanation. It's called Announcements from a Pessimistic Captain. The tower has cleared us for takeoff, folks. Too late to change your minds. Off the dipping right wing, you can see what's left of the Grand Canyon. My apologies. During takeoff, I understand my intercom inadvertently remained on. And yes, that was the 23rd Psalm. The seatbelt sign is off, but before getting up to use the facilities, please weigh the statistical risk of turbulence hurling you into the ceiling and altering forever what remains of your life. Off the left wing, the broad-shouldered, windy city could be London, Berlin, or Nagasaki to a bomb site's eye. We have begun our descent into the Fort Lauderdale metropolitan area. We look to be right on time. The temperature is 85 with clear skies, a perfect day to stock up on hurricane supplies. Please consider that passenger. Please consider that passenger while deplaning, trying to make tight connections, healing the sick, and raising the dead. I know I'm wasting my breath. Okay. Read this one next. So this one is a sestina. Most people in this room probably know what a sestina is, but it's you choose six words for line endings, and then it's required to reuse the six words based on the algorithm of the poem, the form of the poem, not an algorithm, I guess. And then you're at the end of the six stanza lines, you incorporate all the words used in a three stanza ending. So it's called Paper Route. The hardest day to get up was Sunday, because 5 a.m. on weekdays before school at first felt my own. Though more to deliver, I could roll them to throw onto the stoops rather than laying down my bike and sack to haul the week's end herald to the door. The route was an older boy's next door, who I mostly helped out on Sundays. A fat boy who wore old clothes like a sack, unwashed, hair uncombed, even at school, but was strong and rode tall. I would stoop till a quarter or more were delivered, and he shouldered 2 bags to deliver, while my second waited by my door. One wet day I left them on my stoop to rot. I just slept in that Sunday. I avoided him all next day in school. I wasn't afraid of him or getting sacked. I expected that I would get sacked and not miss money earned from deliveries, the self-respect, the freedom before school. Then old Grime and Grace came to my door. All was forgiven, and the next Sunday he plastic bagged the papers on my stoop. I felt like that dog that crapped on his stoop. His ramshackle house in our cul-de-sac didn't bother my parents. On Sunday, his and mine made small talk. Mom delivered first pressed cider to their half-painted door. I culled easy contempt for him at school. He was better than I was at school, smart. Still he stunk enough to make you stoop over as he came through a door, gag. I began to hate this fat sack, fucking saint. When I did deliver, stole some comics from out the Sundays, piled by my door. Unrepentant, unschooled then. Some Sundays now I smile how I stooped under sackcloth for peanuts delivered. And last is Proof Rock Goes to the Doctor, based on Proof Rock, love song of J. Elspeth Proof Rock, which everybody here knows. So it's my riff on that. She auscultates my chest through my shirt. The echocardiogram will tell what it tells, but I want her stethoscope near my heart, the diaphragm on my skin with her eyes closed, to hear what I am deaf to, except when it's pounding so hard I feel it might break my ribs. I want her to give each chamber its due, but the shirt is flannel. Is this what it is to seek out strangers, technicians, waiters, store attendants, to witness, to attest to my existence? I told the exterminator who asked if there were signs of vermin, there were fruit flies circling the bananas. Bald as I am, I go to the barber each week to feel his trimmer at the back of my neck. The priest sighs over my lack of content. The taxi driver returns half my tip. I wish you would palpate my pedal pulse to rule out ischemia to my feet and assure me that my lungs are clear, and to be alert for bruits over my carotids and abdomen. I want her to put her lips to my forehead to take my temperature. I want to take off my shirt to feel the cold and show her how brave I am while she listens, tells me to breathe again, again.
Betsy. Betsy Vickers. And I decided to read thematically tonight, and it will probably not come as any surprise to anybody what the theme is, particularly as the first one is called Dog Rescue. Some dogs are actually rescued from fates worse than death, though mine seems to have ambled from aptly named agency Lucky Labs into my silver spoon adoption. On the application form, one question asked, "Where will your dog be in your home?" My answer, anywhere he wants, which from the outset has meant all rooms except the guest room due to his excessive shedding and drooling. Our bed, his two beds, deck and patio, lawns. The kitchen is a world unto itself, his most desired locale every mealtime. In between licking crumbs and spills off the floor, rides in the car hold second place. And continuing, basically, insomnia. It's after midnight, eyes closed, awake in the dark, the dog asleep beside me. No insomniac, he dreams, paws beating against my blanketed hip, occasionally whimpers in distress as he runs in his world. My thoughts run in mine to unsettling happenings in the past. Sometimes the dog stirs, wakes just long enough to sit, stand, turn, flop back down, reoriented, to breathe rhythmically again in blurred snores, as if to demonstrate how deeply sleeping I could be. Sometimes I give up, turn on the light, read or write like this now, reorient in someone else's story or a better version of mine. This is dog time. I say to my dog, who urges me, nose poking my buttocks into the kitchen each evening at his mealtime, 5 o'clock, where he anticipates the all things considered theme notes like Pavlov's dog salivated at the bell. Yet I want to pour my martini before getting his kibble. I say, Nothing you want is as important, more important than what I want. Pause. Well, that may not be true. All right. I have one tiny one and then I'll be really done. Okay, so because I was the dog theme, so this is called Apple Dog. For tonight's dessert, I quarter a crisp fall Cortland. From a flight above at the scent, the dog flings down the stairs, claws scramble on hardwood, skids into the kitchen, sits alert, is offered a slice. Now you know everything about me and my dog. And it just repeats and repeats.
My name is Don Hertzberg. It's hard to follow Max, which is Bessie's dog. He's a wonderful, wonderful dog, hard act to follow. And I will read a few poems, a couple of them new and one of them older. I have trouble, I always think I should end with an upbeat poem. And I do, and then I just decided that's crazy. I'm gonna depress everybody right before I leave. So the first poem, I don't know if this is upbeat or not, but it seems. This is called Male Fantasy 37. I enjoy the company of an attractive woman, the banter, the way we fix our eyes on each other, pretend nonchalance with sidelong looks, disguising our tense orbit around feelings we assume will bloom with the next drink. Men stare, waiters return repeatedly to our table for no reason and glance at me with eyebrows arched over jealous smiles. An attractive woman teases my lust into showing itself, has me leaning toward her with the urge to touch her hand, her cheek. I can picture the two of us in my T-bird, top down, sun glittering in her hair, like she's a star on the silver screen, and I, of course, am her leading man. I radiate, the small engine of my ego purring. I feel so cool my teeth sparkle. If all goes well, she won't have a thing to say, won't intrude on the dialogue I'm having with myself as passers-by watch me stealing a look at myself in the side view mirror. I just think men are fascinating. I don't know what to... I'm not sure I've ever understood us, but it's really an interesting batch of people. This one is an older one, but and I don't have any explanation of it for it. Oh, I do. I'm sorry. The first line is from a poem by Wisława Szymborska, whose some or many of you may know, and it is the first line of this poem, "The Sea." The sea. Dear mermaids, it was bound to happen. The sea drying to salt, and you left to stare at the sun, your scales dried and dull, furrowed edges itching for balm of brine, hair limp and lifeless on your shoulders, watery glisten gone dull. It's played a trick on my life, too. No more stripers schooling offshore. No more mornings to cast out a line, plant my pole in the sand, and listen to pass-the-time tunes on radio while I stare at that stunning straight line where sky and Atlantic press against each other. Dear mermaids, it was bound to happen, but we might have stopped it. We could have blessed a smaller harvest, told our children truer stories about earth and air and water, made them understand, believe that sharing means keeping. We might have, but who could? Who could not drink till the glass is empty, not scoop up the nearest treasure? Who could pass up shimmering wet stones, lying in sand, shining in sunlight, as the surf backs away, genuflecting as if we were gods? Okay. This is a newer one. It's a little bit, I suppose, of the time, but general enough to maybe not. And this is called It's True. Because part of life is make-believe, sometimes the best part. I tell my wife hers is the best lasagna I've ever had, that her socks do in fact make her outfit perfect. It's no secret I bend the truth just a bit every now and then. But what if I decided that facts are just clumsy ideas that gum up things we all want to go smoothly? What if I decided that lying isn't all that bad? Politicians have been lying forever, and it tends to get them reelected. I don't think religious leaders are liars, just delusional in a well-meaning way. But people do need an underpinning of truth in their lives, a scarcity for some, like my sister Marge, whose husband Henry tells lies so often, not even he can tell the fact of his days from fiction. I confess I do sometimes tell a lie that feels like the truth it ought to be. I insist the world will be a better place tomorrow. People will rediscover their moral compass and feel its needle spin them onto a path where truth is an everyday commodity. No need to wonder if the little lie you're being told is an ominous sign or just a kindness.
Now, Rick.
Hi, I'm Rick Bates. If you're looking for places to send your poems, I run an online poetry journal called Rat's Ass Review, and we publish twice yearly. You can find us, Rat's Ass Review. You can find us on the web. Why is this not where there? Certain small things. Certain small things carry far more than their weight. The sounds of a Zippo lighter in action, the ringing click as it opens, that chunky snap closed, take me back 40 years in an instant, to a college dorm room in winter, to Lucky Strikes and Ballantine Ale, to smoke rising into my squint. And yesterday, the smell of roasting beef on a street of two-story homes with wide porches and barns behind yanked me out of one town and dropped me in another at my grandmother's table just in time for Sunday dinner. Kalia. My college roommate was a Hindu from Singapore. My Sunday school teaching mother was a Baptist from Vermont. One Christmas, Mom gently tackled her obligation to save the heathen. Mom told Kalia about Jesus. He said, sure, that was fine with him. Mom wanted to impress on him that Jesus was the way. He said, of course he is. So is the Buddha, but Vishnu was his personal choice. Mom told him there was really only one true way. Kalia assured her it was fine that she believed that. Then he told her she was really a Hindu, just like everyone else. And she worshipped a particular avatar of Vishnu called Jesus. Eventually, he told her that she was God, just as he was God, as that tree was God, as was that sunset and that music. Believing that his whole soul hung in the balance, but being a bit too New England well-bred to make a scene about it, Mom kept drawing a small, perfect circle and inviting him in. And Kalia, bless his patience, kept drawing a bigger circle around them both. Let's see. Do we have any people from New Hampshire here? All right. It's called Versus. New Hampshiremen mock us Vermonters and the odd state that we are in, but we regard the Granite State fondly as our feeble bastard twin. Okay, here's my rant. Cornhole. We need to talk about that beanbag toss game called cornhole. Where I come from, you don't say cornhole in polite company. Your cornhole is the one you wipe with a corn cob. As a verb, to cornhole someone is to have anal sex with them. I understand that we've lost our rural roots in many ways, as useless as tits on a boar being misunderstood because B-O-A-R is heard as B-O-R-E. Fine, make it tits on a rooster. But Jesus, please spare me from hearing any more parents suggest that their first graders go play cornhole. Last place. Why is it that whenever you lose something, it seems like it's always in the last place you look? Well, speaking for myself, it's because when I find it, I stop looking.
All righty. Last and maybe least. Oh, Hal.
If I could go after you, I'd be very happy.
No, come up. Come on. Get right over here.
Lieutenant? Good evening. My name is Hal Coughlin, for those of you that don't know, and I live just across the river. And I have a few poems. 3 poems is the most I will allow myself tonight. The first one is called Floor. Driving back from a morning meeting and lunch in northern Vermont, as usual, I've found a different road to take home. Going through some small town, seeing a sign for a small bookstore, I turn into the parking lot. Only one other car there. It must be a slow, late spring afternoon at the bookstore. It was probably an old schoolhouse. Tall ceilings, large windows, and a worn, noisy wooden floor. The woman in the store gives me a casual look as I start looking at the bookshelves. She is quite lovely, and as I tilt my head to look at titles, I think of her as the squeaking floor advises me as to where she is. Briefly seeing her as we both move around the store, I fantasize, sometimes with the help of book titles, different scenes involving sunny fields or a quiet dark room, perhaps some dancing, both vertically and horizontally. I look up as I hear her approach, the squeaking of the floor helping. She looks me in the eye, holding a couple of books in front of her, and says sweetly, "I'm ready." I'm not sure how long the earth stood still. The surprise and shock on my face was quickly reflected on hers, and we both started talking, both saying, using too many words, "I don't work here." We chat, look around, and soon find a table in a corner with the instructions for making a list of what we are buying and where to leave the money. She leaves the correct amount of money, we talk for a while, and she leaves. It isn't much longer before I also settle up and start to leave. Standing in the sun near the door, I pause. I have been walking for a long while on smooth floors, alone. I need to be with someone working toward understanding, a life task, aware of where and what she is without the floor as a guide. The floor creaks in agreement as I push the door open. Next. Well, this explains a lot. I was 7 with an older sister and 2 younger brothers. We were all riding with Mum in the big family station wagon. This was before minivans. It was summer. Seatbelts didn't exist yet, and we kids were always moving around in the car. It had a 3rd row seat facing backwards in the same matching beautiful naugahyde, and a window in the door at the back of the car. The window could be raised or lowered by a button on the dashboard. Mum would lower it a bit. We would stick our hands and heads out to annoy other drivers. She would warn us and press the up button. Once, either making a face at some other cars or otherwise distracted, I didn't get my head back in time. Caught just above the ears, looking to the side, my siblings made such a racket, mostly laughing. Mom didn't lower the window for at least 5 minutes or seconds, I'm not sure which. I have forgiven them, well, mostly. I have been asked on some occasions where I find inspiration for my poetry. I'm sure this isn't it. And last but not least, the look. I think some of you might be able to relate to this poem. In college, I needed a job. Fast food was easy, and I'm sure all of you deserve a break, but I won't tell you which brand. There was a guy who started the same day as I, but weeks later, he was still wearing his trainee hat. It was a different color. One day, while we were preparing something resembling food, I sidled over and asked him about the hat. After carefully looking around to make sure one of the assistant managers wasn't listening, he said, "I figure if they see the hat, the trainee hat, they won't expect much." I left for another job a few weeks later, and he may still be there. I can remember the look of low expectations he would get. I've had times in my business life where I was on the first horse in the front, and other times I was the guy behind the horses cleaning up. I am sure I learned very well to give the look of low expectations. It was too many years before I worked out how important poetry was to me, and there were actual groups that wrote and discussed poems. With more of my rough edges worn down at least a little by time, it is easier for me to meet people. I have been, sometimes, unpleasantly surprised when telling someone I am working toward becoming a poet and get the look of low expectations. But it is a good thing. I know I don't need any expectations from that person anymore. Thank you all.
All righty. I have 2 seasonal poems and one kind of a gentle rant. The first one is called Newness. The sun glows through delicate roseate hues, like the petals of a Clara Schumann romance. The robins, wrens, and warblers echo these melodies of spring as our world fills in with green. Gone the leafless hillside towers and unwelcome slime on roads, we raise our arms and voices and rejoice in a new glow. Hallelujah. This one equally short, called Spherical. It's up there, perfect sphere, lit by its LED bulbs. It will always be there, its rotating iterations. We will let the glaciers melt, invite hurricanes and tornadoes, ruin the lands that it looks down upon. We have composed songs, spooned beneath its glow, written countless ballads, poems. It will always be there. Hail, moon. And the gentle rant. Et tu, ? Friends, countrymen, lend me your ears. The evil that men do lives after them. 44 BCE was a long time ago. What has changed, I ask you? Hornets still construct fine architecture, beavers still chew down trees, and kids still learn their ABCs. Thousands, yes, thousands of years have cycled through time since that long, noble oration. Evil men still seize and brag and do harm while beating their chests. I ask you now, can you admire fine music, the hangings at the Uffizi, the caring and the rescuing of the needy, the charity man has wrought, the fires put out, the homeless housed, the evil punished, the good duly spared, weeping while the poor have cried? Praise be the honorable man. In the back are goodies and some water, so mingle and help yourselves.